The story takes place in the year 1281, when Japan sends its bravest samurai across the sea to face the invading Mongol army. Before the battle can truly begin, a massive tsunami destroys the enemy fleet and wipes out the Japanese forces as well. All the warriors perish, except for one. A samurai named Riku regains consciousness on the shore of an unknown island with a sharp piece of wood piercing his leg. Barely able to move, Riku drags himself along using a rope and notices what appears to be the lifeless body of a small child. To his surprise, the boy suddenly stands up and runs away as if nothing had happened. Riku realizes he is hallucinating. Using the broken remains of his sword, he extracts the wooden stake from his leg, bandages the wound, and limps along the shore in search of help or water. As night falls, his water supply runs out and he takes refuge inside a cave. Once again, the boy appears, guiding Riku toward the forest before vanishing. The child is a vision of one of Riku's two sons, whose memories haunt him. The following morning, the hallucinations continue, this time taking the form of his wife. When he sees what looks like her body on the beach, it also fades away, confirming that his mind is betraying him. Exhausted by pain and despair, Riku hears the voices of his family and nearly gives up, deciding to walk into the sea. At that moment, the voices go silent and, in the distance, he sees a mountain that resembles Mount Fuji. That familiar sight restores his will to live. He gathers logs and drags them inland, eventually discovering a magnificent waterfall and a source of fresh water. With renewed purpose, Riku begins to survive properly. He sharpens his broken blade, hunts for food, and even creates ink from charcoal and water. Using a stick and strands of hair, he fashions a brush and writes haikus, preserving his identity as a samurai despite his isolation. Days pass, his wounds heal, and although the memories of his family still hurt, his determination strengthens. Finally, Riku climbs the mountain and builds a ritual torii gate, preparing himself for an honorable death. He leaves a final message stating that pain sustained his life, and love will sustain him in death. Just as he prepares to commit seppuku, the island's natives destroy the torii gate, capture him, and bind him. Riku is transported by boat to a settlement where a masked warrior claims ownership over him. Other prisoners are present, including one who is missing a leg. It soon becomes clear that these people are cannibals who plan to eat their captives slowly. The tribe's shaman even treats Riku's wound to keep him alive longer. One prisoner has his remaining leg amputated using Riku's own sword, while others are tortured, mutilated, and forced to drink their own blood. Drugged and surrounded by death, Riku realizes he is trapped in a true hell. After being forced to drink from a horn, his consciousness fades and he sees his children again, who demand 50 pirate heads from him. Accepting this vision, Riku suddenly speaks, surprising the cannibals, and declares that the heads on their shoulders belong to him. Using his training, Riku overpowers his guards, killing them with stones, ropes, and sheer will. Although decapitation with primitive tools is difficult, he succeeds. Still hallucinating, he explores the caves and discovers massive piles of human skulls. Meanwhile, the cannibal tribe carries out a ritual, passing leadership to the chief's son, the same brutal warrior who now possesses Riku's samurai sword. The overweight captive, who had only one limb left, was prepared as a ritual meal for the group. Before dying, he looked directly at Riku, who remained silent, forced to witness the horrific act. Shortly after, a drunken native discovered what the foreigner had done. The severed heads of the guards were mounted on a pole, and Riku had already escaped into the forest. The newly appointed chief immediately ordered the tribe to begin the hunt. Armed with rudimentary bone weapons, the cannibals landed on the island's shore, the same spot where they had first found the Japanese warrior. They spread out through the forest searching for him, unaware that Riku was instead stalking them. One by one, he killed them from behind. The warriors could not hear him because monkeys were screaming loudly throughout the jungle, masking every sound. At one point, Riku attacked 3 enemies at once and dispatched them effortlessly. A larger group moved toward an open field. Riku shot 2 of them with a bow, forcing the rest to hide in the tall grass. One native attempted a direct charge and was hit by an arrow directly in the eye. As the group retreated, they lost 2 more warriors. Even while moving across the battlefield, Riku continued writing his haiku, reflecting on his past. He had once collected the heads of his enemies, but found no joy in their rotting remains. The shaman finally spotted a solitary figure standing motionless ahead. In reality, Riku had prepared a trap. He had lit multiple bonfires to create thick smoke and armed himself with a sharp wooden spear. Moving through the smoke, the experienced warrior slaughtered the natives with astonishing ease. Terrified, the shaman retreated and returned to the chief, who stood staring at another haiku. Riku had left behind. The message was clear. Riku had found them, and now they feared him. Screaming in panic, the tribe charged into the smoke, calling him a demon. Riku waited for them by the shore, where he discovered a complete samurai sword that had been washed up by the tide. Holding the weapon, he reflected on how much he missed his family. The chief removed his mask and ordered his men to attack, though he himself stayed back. The cannibals lunged at Riku, but their deaths became even more futile once he wielded a full katana. Attempts to kill him from a distance with spears failed completely. Riku, however, struck with deadly precision. Wave after wave of attackers rushed forward only to be massacred, the carnage continuing. Riku kills the cannibals with a smile on his face. For the first time in a long while, life feels worth living again. Instead of waiting, the samurai himself charges toward the remaining savages, slowly closing the distance to the tribal chief. The leader sends his strongest warrior, a madman who charges at Riku on all fours. The madman dodges the katana, while another fighter even bites the blade itself. The plan is clumsy and desperate, but it gives the lunatic enough time to strike Riku several times. More enemies pounce and pin Riku's arms, but he breaks free and slits the throat of the madman's wife in front of him. The curly-haired warrior charges again, trying to intimidate the samurai. He attacks, retreats, and circles Riku like a wild animal, jumping around him like a monkey. Finally, Riku grabs his leg and cuts his Achilles tendon. Even crippled, the warrior keeps fighting. Riku wounds him repeatedly and finally kills him, only to be struck from behind with a mallet. The chief steps aside and orders the shaman into the fight, claiming he is a legendary warrior without equal. By this point, an exhausted Riku has already slaughtered the entire crowd and begins walking toward the chief. The chief speaks calmly, acknowledging that he always knew Riku was special and that the upcoming fight would be no different. The shaman removes his necklace made of vertebrae, places it on the sand, and grabs his combat staff. Though smaller, the shaman proves to be fast and skillful, far more dangerous than the others. He keeps Riku at bay, expertly controlling the distance with his staff. But in a single leap, Riku shatters the weapon. The shaman grabs the sword with his bare hand, delaying the inevitable for only a moment. Within seconds, Riku slices open his stomach and then cuts his throat. Now, there is no one left for the tribal chief to hide behind. He holds a massive bone axe and challenges Riku to reclaim his sword. The powerful leader sheds everything unnecessary, prays to his bone mask, and charges forward. This final opponent is strong and relentless. He throws sand into Riku's eyes and wounds him several times. A brutal axe blow sends the samurai flying through the air, but Riku refuses to die. He strikes back, cutting the chief's leg. The battle continues with ferocity. During the struggle, the broken sword flies through the air. Riku catches it and cuts the chief again. Wielding two blades, he pushes the enemy toward the sea, but the chief fights back desperately. He forces Riku into the water and begins to drown him. On the brink of death, Riku sees his wife dancing before him once more. Drawing strength from the vision, he breaks free, stands up, and drives his sword directly into the chief's head. With the second blade, he severs it completely. In a single day, the lone samurai annihilates the entire cannibal tribe. I hope you enjoyed the story. Thanks for watching.